Welcome to the Black Tornado Podcast. Today, the Twister blows over to the Lone Star State, home of Strickland Propane, and the toast so thick they had to give it its own name. Today, I'm joined by one half of my favorite horror movie podcast, Blood in the Cornfields. Mark's in the house. What's up, brother?
What's up? What's going on, man?
Hey, man. All right. Yeah, so this is cool that you're not only able to come on an episode, but you're here on a theme show.
Yeah. No, I was excited for this one. Always excited to kind of like get the list of the bands and then get to hear them. And then it's like, oh, okay, all right, now we get to talk about them. Yeah. Especially being from Texas, you know, I spent about half of my life there. So,
yeah, when we did, when I was on Blood in the Cornfields and we reviewed the movie Shuttle, which that video is up on Blood in the Cornfields, so go over to their YouTube page, check it out. We touched on that. I think either before or after we recorded, touched on doing Texas, and then either I remembered it or you brought it up. Is that you lived in Texas? So I thought,
yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely, yeah. I have no fucking clue. I don't remember if I brought it up or if it was you.
Regardless. So what area of Texas did you live in?
So I lived most of the time in Austin.
Okay.
Yep. So was there, and the cool thing is I was a like bouncer doorman at a music venue for 7 years,
Nice.
right downtown. So I was on like 8th and Red River, which has changed now. So 6th Street, that's where everybody, fucking knows. It's where Joe Rogan's Comedy Club is now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, 2 blocks from that. So just a short walk from that. But my venue was cool because we had local artists a lot of times, and we would give like younger bands chances, which in Austin, there isn't really a lot of shit for the younger bands.
Right.
And then we had Emos, which is a legendary like punk venue, started out next to us, and then they moved across town. And then on the other side was another legendary venue, Stubbs, where fucking any and everybody has played. On any given night you would have, back then, Motorhead fucking played it a bunch of times.
Cool.
You could have Deftones, you could have country acts like Casey Musgraves and like City and Color, different things like that. So
cool.
Yeah, there was that, and then across the street was a metal club called Headhunters.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually got fucking bar rescued, which was interesting. So you remember, the show Bar Rescue?
Yeah.
They changed it into a steampunk bar called Metal and Lace, and dude, everyone fucking hated it.
Yeah, the name is a little on the nose.
Yeah, and the owner was like a douchebag. And the city hated him. People that worked for him fucking hated him. Like one time I was on the front door and they like swatted his ass at 12:01.
Wow.
Because like apparently it was like the next day, because 12:01, and that was when his permit expired. So they shut his ass down.
That day, that hour.
Yep. They shut his ass down. And like I had a friend of mine, Sophia, who worked there. And she was just like, dude, they hated him, and they were ready at 12:01 to shut his ass down. So
I can't imagine how hated you must be for a raid to be conducted at 12:01 to get your ass. Wow,
it was crazy because cops all in the street, so it's literally like my bar, and then across the street and like maybe 20 yards to the right was Headhunters. And so we're at an intersection at like 8th and Red River, and like they was all blocked off. Like they had squad cars out in front, and they were like in there. Yeah, literally at 12:01. It was crazy. So, dude, I've got stories for days about like bum sex and bum fights and all sorts of crazy shit. So I lived in Austin. And then I also lived north of Austin in Georgetown.
Okay.
Which is actually where my daughter was born. So it's like a nicer kind of suburb. It's literally only like 10 minutes, well, depending on traffic, 10 to 20 minutes north of Austin. A little bit more laid back then. It's changed a lot now, but so I lived there, and then I also lived in San Antonio.
Okay, cool.
So right in the beginning of San Antonio, off the interstate, is a small area of San Antonio called Selma.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a suburb of San Antonio, and that's the one thing I didn't realize was like how fucking big San Antonio is because of the suburbs.
Right.
It's like, dude, the suburbs in San Antonio are fucking massive, and I didn't really realize that. I mean, like downtown's big, you know, you've got where the Spurs play, and you've got the fucking Alamo, which is really weird where that's at. But yeah, the suburbs are really what make San Antonio like the big city that it is.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. Speaking of San Antonio, that's where we're going to start our journey today through Texas. This is first band on today's episode. This is Stoner Witch out of San Antonio with Witches at Black Masses. It's fucking groovy, man. The low end that makes your fucking skull want to pop. The guitars, man, it kind of lulls you into, a little bit of a trance and then kicks in,
Yeah, there's a mid part in there where it almost has, like I wrote in my notes, like a Southern rock riff.
Yeah.
Kind of in the middle, and it was a little bit like, well, that's kind of unexpected, but I was like, dude, that's like a Southern rock riff. The name, so the thing that I love the name, think it's fucking awesome because it like kind of put something in my head, and I was expecting a band like Bongzilla.
Yes.
And they're not.
Right.
So I thought that was really cool that that kind of threw me for not like a major twist, but like a pleasant twist. Like, okay, awesome. They weren't exactly what I was expecting.
Well, I like even the name of this song because obviously it's a Sabbath homage, which is the Black Masses.
Absolutely, yeah. It was just, I love that it was like not only not what I was expecting, but like really well put together too. I really liked the structure. I liked that it wasn't predictable. I really liked kind of how everything flowed and meshed together.
Well, like you said, with that bit where it goes into kind of that Southern rock riff, as far as unpredictability, I mean, right there is key. where you just go, wow, it changes up, but it fits the song so well that it really works.
Yeah, I find myself, because of course, I listen to with headphones. And any of you that don't, like, from a musician, I'm sure you agree. Listening to good quality headphones, any song is the absolute best way to do it.
It's super key. I mean, I get like, and even some, there's cars out there with great sound systems. But if you're hanging out at home and you're hearing something for the first time, if you have the means, throw on a decent pair of headphones. It's the little nuances that you might miss if you have, say, one, like at work. I always have one earbud in.
Yeah.
So if there's a left and right mix, I'm missing it.
You're missing, yep.
So if it's like a podcast, it's not really that big of a deal, like just a show where they're talking, or something I've heard 100 times. It's not really the end of the world. But it's not how I'm going to go about hearing something for the first time. For the first time, like if a band sends in a submission, I'll see the email at work. I'll write them back, hey, thanks. And I always say, as soon as I get home and get to my computer, I'll check it out, because then I can throw the cans on and I can listen to it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one other random thing, because they're from San Antonio. One thing that I never realized was, like, so right downtown, and I'm sure, they'll be listening, so they can correct me if I'm a little bit wrong, because my memory is a little bit fuzzy, because
we hope they'll be listening.
Oh, they'll be listening. We're going to speak it into existence. So downtown, there's Commerce Street, which I believe is what the Alamo sits off of. And It's crazy because, like, when you're at the Alamo, it's, obviously this great American historic, piece of land. And it's, well preserved and everything. And it's like, with Ozzy, pissing on it and all that sort of stuff. There's all those memories. But if you fucking look across the street, there's a fucking Fuddruckers. And there's like a Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Oh, that's so
it's
cool.
It's not like, because when I first thought, I thought like the Alamo and like, there's, it's going to just be situated. And I didn't really imagine there's going to be stuff around it. There's a fucking mall, like, I think it's called River Center Mall, like a block away. And then, across the street is like all these shops. And so it's really weird to be standing and like looking at the Alamo, and then just like 30 yards away, 50 yards away, there's like, Fuddruckers.
Well, it's like in Egypt, for example, where like the Great Pyramids are. There's like a KFC like 20 feet away.
That's so awesome.
It kind of just takes away from the whole, like, this beautiful historic monument. And then you're like, yeah, let me get a 3-piece and a biscuit.
I'm getting ready to climb this bitch. I need a 3-piece and a biscuit.
Right. I love that of all the places, Fuddruckers. There used to be a Fuddruckers out here when I was young. And now I just have these like flooding memories of going to Fuddruckers as a kid, and it's been long gone for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
Oh, that is cool. All right, yeah, Stoner Witch. Hell yeah, guys. Good job.
Definitely.
All right, man, let's get back into this shit. So, Texas. What did you do? Did you do anything musically when you were out there? Were you involved with any bands or projects at the time?
So, not really. Was more like just a musician for hire type thing.
Gotcha.
Played with this kid who had a ton of experience. He was great. He was actually a touring drummer. I won't say the band because I don't know if he wants to be talked about, because he kind of ended with the band in a rift. But it's a band that if I say the name, you would know them.
Yeah, okay.
So he was the touring drummer. Oh, no, I will after. And from my understanding, they Dave Mustained him. So they just said, fuck you, get your shit, we're gone. And they went on tour with another drummer, apparently. But then, so he wanted to start this band. And he was like, I'm going to play guitar. He switched over and just started playing guitar. I'd only been playing guitar for a year and a half, and was like one of those musicians where it's like, dude, is there anything you can't fucking do? Like,
he just picked it up right away.
Yeah, he wrote a whole album, wrote drums, guitar, bass, and basically was looking for musicians to play. We clashed. He was a phenomenal drummer. He was better than me, but we would, rehearse the songs. And when I made like any little hit that was off, of course he knew it like the back of his hand because he wrote it. He would be like, stop, start over. And I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa, dude, that's not how I do it. Like, I have to, like, like go over, learn my mistakes, keep the flow going, and
Right.
eventually we're gonna hammer this bitch out. And I'm like, I don't learn from like playing and then make a mistake and stop. It's like
Right.
that's not how I learn. And so we clashed a bunch, and I finally just had to be like, hey, dude, like, I'm not the drummer for you. I'm more of a flow drummer, not a tech drummer. So
Right.
like my mistakes, like I have to gloss over them and learn from them. And I'm not just like, reading sheet music and then fucking hammering through it. So we left. There was another band that was like this gothic-y, female fronted band. It was like a husband and wife duo. And they wanted me to go on tour, but they started throwing contracts at me, and like I was not comfortable because I did not have money and did not have access to a lawyer. And they were like trying to be like, we need to get on the road, And I'm just like, dude, I'm not comfortable signing something that I can't have proofread. And so
they're really pushing you.
Yeah, I had to decline. And I understand because they had venues booked and they had to get shit going. And they did have like a management team, but I was like, I'm not comfortable doing this. So
no, and I think that's a little bit of a red flag. And like you said, they had to get things going. They had shows booked. But if you're going to have somebody sign a contract, you want the other party to be able to do it with no remorse in doing it. So they can have somebody read it over. They can make sure that they understand completely what they're signing.
Yeah.
And go from there.
Yeah, no. So then it's just situations like that. And then another friend of mine, the thing that's great about Austin is they have practice facilities. So there's just like practice rooms. You rent them with a drum kit, you rent them without.
Wow.
And my friend knew me from the music venue and had like never heard me play, but was like, dude, my drummer just quit and we're leaving on tour in 2.5 weeks. Like, can you learn our shit? And I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? So we had like 5 practices together in a week's time, and then so there was like a week and a half left, and then their drummer came back to the fold. So I was like, thank God. I was like, thank God, because there was like, dude, I was gonna be so just like, I'm kind of, they're asking beyond what my abilities are. Like,
sure,
I would have not been comfortable. So yeah,
and that's another thing too. If you're you're touring with these people, you're going to be living in a van together, a bus, whatever the situation is. You want to be completely comfortable with what you're doing.
Yep. And I only knew the one kid. So it was really, and I was like, hey, like I'll do what I can. And maybe I play the first 5 shows. And then like, you guys need to be having a backup behind the scenes. And then I'll just drop out and then just fly me home. Like that was my thought. Cause I was just like, there's no fucking way. Cause like, I don't know. Like I have to be fully confident in something because like, anyone who's ever played in front of a large crowd and they haven't done it that many times, it's super intimidating, like, and if you're not able to fully focus and like flip that switch, it can get the best of you and you can start fucking up like on stage. It can eat you alive.
I can only imagine, and that's why I'm so happy that I do everything in this room that I'm sitting in.
Mm-hmm.
If I make a mistake, I just edit it out or I start recording all over again.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about lugging gear anywhere. It's literally I'm tapping my amp, right? That's how close it is.
Yeah.
And I don't have those problems.
Yeah, obviously, I can describe it pretty good because it has happened to me before. It's just, your nerves get the better of you and then you're like, oh shit, like what count was that? Like where am I at in the song? Like, oh God. Like,
see, the downside is I don't
feeling.
Oh, sure. Well, see, and the downside is I don't get the adrenaline rush from, performing in front of a group of people or whatever. I don't have that experience. Everything is just, I'll get a drum track sent to me and I'll go, I'll load it up, listen to it 15 times, and then just start riffing along until I get it where I go, okay, this sounds good. And then I just email it back and go make a sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Let's jump right in. Second track. We are going to head over to Houston. This is Rabid with Human Sacrifice.
They, people who refuse to bend to the will of God and claim it privilege. Sinners and pride. Yes, haughty, privileged. They mock us, they mock our God, our faith, our values, our very lifestyle. They mock our humility and our piousness. They piss on us and laugh. It's from them the blood of human sacrifice must come. From them the blood of expiation.
Speaking of headphones, man, that is some thickness that requires headphones.
Yes.
The overall low end, just really incredible low end. I love the ping of the snare drum. It didn't even sound like a snare drum.
I'm glad. So that's in my notes, but I was gonna say first thing, I'm old school. I love a good insert, like a good movie insert. I fucking love those. Love the insert. But yes, let's dig into the snare, because coming from a drumming aspect, like it's so I of course, there's the, whole Saint Anger, bang, bang, sounds like he's playing on a beer keg. This isn't exactly that.
No.
It's not. And so I was actually like putting it out there, and I'm like, is that a piccolo that's like mic'd differently? Does he, because I've seen all sorts of shit like with stuff on the actual snare to produce different effects.
Right.
I don't know if it's something underneath because but like I want to know what that is. And it's like you'll hear something like that in a shitty band because they don't know what they're doing. The people are not miking it. This is not the case here. Like that guy's chops are legit. So this is intentional in my opinion. So yeah. I'm just curious, you know, like what has he got a piccolo that's modded out somehow?
See, and I've heard of some hardcore bands that will use like a marching snare, you know, like yes. a piccolo or something like that, instead of, you know, what you would find in a traditional kit. And that's what helps produce that ping sound.
Yeah, there was a band that I don't think we played any shows with, but a band out of Indy called Burn It Down back in the day. Nice. Their drummer was legit and played on a fat ass marching snare. And
that's cool.
It was pretty cool. I remember that, and I was just like, that's fucking sweet. And I used to play on the little thin piccolo because it does give a higher pop sound to it, but it's not a pop like that unless it's recorded somehow different. It's got a ping and an echo to it that like I was curious, like what the fuck is that is modded on that snare?
I don't think those guys have social media, so maybe I'll shoot them an email and see if I can't get some snare information.
And then his blast halfway through was really tight. Because it kind of comes not quite out of nowhere, but it's definitely a change in it, and it's the blast is really tight. I love the tempo that he used for it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that was really cool. Another good Houston band.
Yeah, and I have family that is tied to Houston, so very much tied to Houston. Yeah, my brother's wife is from there.
Okay.
My brother used to live there just as of like last year, but now he's moved to Galveston. But you know, I've been to Houston a ton of times, so yeah, I have ties to Houston as well too.
Yeah, since we're on the topic, let's touch on that a little bit. So you brought up before about drums. Let's talk about your drumming a little bit.
My drumming?
Yeah.
Well, what would you want to know?
Well, did you have any specifics that you really cared for? Sticks, kits, cymbals?
No. So my story really began playing drums when I was 16. So what it kind of came about is, you know, I would roll into my first period class, which oddly enough was study hall. I know, first hour of the day. It's
weird.
And I tap all the time. So I'd be tapping shit and people would be like, "Oh, I know that song." And they would tell me the song. And they're like, "Oh, yeah, you play drums." And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "No, I don't fucking play drums."
Yeah, I'm just tapping.
I'm just tapping, man. And then like I went through like my first actual bad breakup, and then I think for my birthday my mom got me like my first drums. And so I played in this like straight edge hardcore band.
Nice.
I had been playing probably like 4 months, maybe. Okay. And we had a kid, Matt, who basically like put everything together and was like, "Here, play this." And so I was like, "All right." So I had been playing drums 4 months and played my first show.
That's cool.
Which is pretty crazy to think about.
I would imagine your nerves are probably through the roof.
Not really on that one because I was so excited. And the music was not hard.
Okay.
But we just kind of like to wreck shit. So it was just fun. It was a good little scene that we had here. And then I kind of started getting, you know, into more like metal and stuff like that. But I was at the mercy of playing with who was kind of around this area. But I'm never been the technical drummer. I mean, we had, you know, a couple good drummers that were in this area, and, you know, we would always kind of like, you know, turn out and watch each other. I feel like, I know when I played shows, it kind of made me nervous because we had this kid, Paul, who's like, you know, a really technical drummer, the opposite of me. And I'd have like shows and he, you know, would sit back and watch or whatever. And like, I am very much a flow musician. Like I just have a natural sense and timing. So the shit that I would do was completely opposite of him. And so the shit he would do was completely opposite of me. So I think we both enjoyed seeing each other because it was like a complete different spectrum. Like he played in marching band and all that sort of shit, could read sheet music, I assume. I didn't and can't. So, you know, for me, it's just like, all right, I hear a fucking song, and like my goal and mission as a drummer is to make that song sound better, whether that's tweaking a tempo, whether that's inserting something. And I would, you know, lived with my guitar player, and we would write shit, and he would have riffs, and he would speak them into a fucking old voice recorder, like a digital voice recorder thingy. Hit the 2 buttons to record, and he would either play it, like go home on his lunch hour and fucking play it and then like go back to work, or he would call his voicemail and hum the riff or the tune. And then we would later that night, we would kind of construct it and get the rough draft of it and then bring it to the band and stuff. So
very cool.
I'm that type of musician. Like I can sing background, so I love melody. I did background vocals in bands. A little difficult playing, but yeah, I love being involved in the process. I love working with like even strumming rhythms and strumming patterns for guitar, because like my guitar player would play it a certain way and I'm like, ooh, try like this different pattern. And I could like tap it out, and then, you know, he can try that, or we, you know, modify things. I love being involved in the whole process for sure.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Do you happen to remember the first thing you learned?
No, not really. I don't think I ever really like actually learned anything. I know that sounds stupid, but what I mean by that is like I farted around and played, and then I got with that first band, and then they played a riff, and then he was like, hey, play this. And so I was like, all right, I played this. And then it was like, okay. And then I kind of just rolled with it. So that was really like the first thing that I actually learned, was him loosely telling me the beat that it should go, and then I just bassist my own shit off of that. So
first thing I learned behind a kit was hey Mickey.
Okay.
Hey Mickey, you're so fine. Yeah. Because it's really simple.
Uh-huh.
And a friend of mine who's a really good drummer, we've done a bunch of stuff together over the years, mostly doing piss poor covers of Misfits songs. And I was sitting behind the kit one day while he was eating lunch or something, and I was screwing around, and he was like, play this. And I played like the first handful of notes or something. He's like, that's Hey Mickey. I'm like, oh no shit. So then like I go and turn the song on, and I'm playing along to it. And I don't think I nailed the entire thing, but I got the gist of it down. Yeah. And I was like, oh shit, I know how to play this song.
Yeah, the only cover that I ever did other than like, you know, fucking around with just like some Deftones thing in between, like for a sound check, or like when we're bored at practice or something. But the only actual song I ever remember actually covering was Propaganda by Sepultura.
Nice.
Yeah, that was fun. I loved Igor growing up, so that was
that.
But yeah, that was the first song I ever tackled to just play it, and I just did it everything by ear, you know. I mean, his playing is distinct enough that I, you know, can hear everything that he's doing perfectly fine and pick it up. So yeah.
I had the honor of seeing Igor once behind the kit. It's mind blowing. You think every hit those drums are gonna shatter, and they don't, because he's so heavy, you know.
Yep.
I think I was telling you that before. I went to Massachusetts for it was called the Rock and Shock Festival, and one ticket got you. It was 2 venues. One venue, it was a horror movie convention.
Oh.
And that's where I met Bill Moseley, Phil Anselmo was there, met a handful of people. And then the same ticket, you went to a different venue that was like walking distance. It was like 6 blocks away. And then it was this amazing show. Whitechapel. I'm trying to remember everybody that was there. I keep wanting to say Nails, but Nails wasn't on that show. But anyway, the headliner was Max and Igor, it was the anniversary of Roots. And so they played Roots front to back. And then when Roots ended, then they played a bunch of just like classics that everybody loves.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of Phil, I have the craziest, weirdest Phil Anselmo story.
All right.
So Pantera played in Austin a lot back when they were fucking hair metal and all that bullshit. So
Yeah.
and they'd played other times. So the owner of the bar I worked at had another bar called like fucking back room, I think is what it was in Austin. But anyway, like either Pantera or some of the members like played there and they knew him. So this one time, the way our venue worked is the front half is a bar, the back half is a music venue. And in that back half, we have a back door. So like we have a front door, we have a back door, we have bar backs, and then we may have like a security guy floats, and then we're just kind of his backup.
Right.
So one night everything ends, and it's like, you know, I'm starting to sweep out and shit, and there's probably 15 people in the bar, and Phil Anselmo walks in.
Okay.
Yeah, which was kind of weird. And so I'm sitting there sweeping, and I'm like, well, shit. You know, like, oh, shit, that's, I'm not a big Pantera fan, so I don't really care. But I was just like, oh, shit. But, like, they are fucking royalty in Texas. Like,
of course.
Legit fucking royalty.
Sure.
And the weirdest scene played out. So one of the guys I worked with was a drummer, too. Really good drummer. I don't know if he knew Phil personally, so I don't have that background. But what took place is, as I'm, like, sweeping and watching, he sits down next to Phil. Because Phil was, like, just sitting on, so like when you walk down, there was like a little step, and then like it went down to the floor for like a general admission type area, but it was a small venue. So he's sitting on the little step down, and my coworker's talking to him, and they're just engaged in a conversation. I'm like, oh, you know, nothing big or whatever, and I continue sweeping. Well, he stands up and goes to leave, but he kisses Phil on the top of his fucking bald head, and then just walks in the bar. And Phil doesn't like react to it or nothing, and he just still sits there for a couple minutes. I was like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, this guy just kissed Phil Anselmo.
It was the weirdest thing. I was just like, that's so fucking crazy. But yeah, I just was like, okay, maybe that's a thing. Maybe they're cousins. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, meeting Phil was really cool. I've met my fair share of band members and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have my cut that has, patches from pretty much every band I've seen live, and it's covered in every fluid known to man because I've had the same one for I don't know how many 12, 13 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't have anything, I didn't fly to Massachusetts with a Pantera record, so I didn't have anything cool for Phil to sign. So I took my vest off and I started to flip it inside out, and I was going to have him sign somewhere on the inside of the vest.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to hand it to him, and it was the coolest thing. He signs it, and before he hands it back to me, he flips it the other way around, and he's holding it up, and he's like inspecting all of the bands. He's seeing who's on there, and then he sees the Snafu patch, who I think is still signed to Housecore Records. And so he starts talking about them. So we're talking about Snafu for 15 minutes. It was just a really cool experience. He's very, not to take away from any of the other awesome actors or actresses that were at this event, but Phil was probably one of the most well-known people there.
Sure.
And the conversation, it didn't feel like metalhead fan meets famous metal dude. What it felt was just like two metalheads talking about metal.
Mm-hmm. Dude's very down to earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very down to earth. And side note, doesn't age.
Yeah.
Does not age.
Yeah. Which is crazy for all the things that he's put his body through.
Yeah, exactly. Dude does not age.
He still looks like he looked when Pantera played in Russia on that live DVD.
Yeah.
I think a few more tattoos, but outside of that, looks exactly the same.
Yeah, he just put out some death metal track.
Scour.
Yeah, I like caught that for a second. I was like, wait, is that Phil?
Scour
And I was like,
fucking rules.
I was like, oh shit. So I don't know anything about them. I just saw that and was like, what the fuck? Is that like a new like side project thing, or is that something he's had in the past? Do you know?
Nah, that's like their third, I think their third album.
Is it? Okay, yeah.
Because that's gold. I know that there's red and black, and I think there was a silver.
Okay.
And so this is gold. So this is either their third or fourth record. I was just having a conversation, and I promise everyone at home we're going to stop talking about Phil. We're going to go to underground shit in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I was just talking to a friend about this, and we both agreed that because Phil is getting older, even if he doesn't look it.
Yeah.
That with his gruff speaking, it is low kind of register when he talks like this
It
to you.
is so fucking low in person.
Incredibly low. That when he does the black metal vocals, I said, and I'm a big Down fan, and I love all the other crap before anybody jumps on me. I said, forget all other projects. Just do Scour. Because his vocals match that style of music so well.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I heard the one track, and I'm waiting for it to come out. That's like a day one buy for me. That fucking Scour record's gonna kill.
Yeah.
Definitely check out the other Scour stuff.
Absolutely.
All right, let's stop talking about Phil Anselmo here. We're gonna go over to we don't know, because the band did not list their location. We only know that they are from Texas. This is Spectral Omen with Horned God. a relaxing start to the instrumentals before tossing you full force into the pits of hell, and then bringing you back to a haunting arrangement. I love the drums on this. That's what stood out to me. But there's really killer riffs throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would actually, my thoughts were, I put, like very full and dark sounding, but the thing that like was going through my head as I'm listening to them is I'm like, did they record these vocals in a cave? Like,
right. Yeah.
you know, I was just like, that'd be fucking awesome if they did, and it would match the song.
Right.
But yeah, I was thinking of that. And the organ at the end.
Yeah. That's what I mean about this like beautiful haunting arrangement. Yeah. The organ really helped. But to all local bands, start recording your vocals in a cave, and that's going to help you.
Fuck yeah. I mean, it's free effects right there. Yes. It's going to set you in the mood because you might be fucking creeped out, or you might be, the opposite. But yeah, fucking go for it. Record in a cave. We need more cave recordings.
Yes, we need more cave vocals.
Yes, absolutely.
That's cool.
I was going to tell you, so I may have got my notes mixed up, but I wonder, I think they might be from San Antonio. Because I did a little searching, and maybe, they'll tell us if not or whatever, but I think I saw something to where they are in San Antonio. So hopefully we give that shout out. If not, hey, correct us. Sorry. We gave it
all right, cool. So if that is the case, then it's 3-2 San Antonio. Right on.
Which, I mean, when I moved there, it was like, I want to say, and I could be wrong, I feel like there was like Metal Edge or something like that, one of those publications that would rank the #1 metal cities. In the year that I first moved to San Antonio was the city of metal.
Oh, wow.
They were declared, the metal capital of the United States.
How cool is that?
So I don't know if they held on to that title, but there is a shit ton of metal in San Antonio.
Well, if you lost the title, then San Antonio, get back to work, because you got to reclaim your title.
Yeah, need to get back on it for sure.
Well, that's what happens when you're the biggest state. I mean, just by that alone, you got to figure there's more going on. But putting this list together was not difficult. There was really a lot of Texas-based metal bands. Yeah, it was easy. It was easy to whip this one up. Well, since I have you on the show, it would be kind of rude not to plug your stuff a little bit. What is the future of Blood in the Cornfields look like? You guys got anything cool in the works? I try not to date the show very much, but I guess this will date us a bit.
It's okay. So we have really started getting involved with events. So we had the event with Robbie Lopez and the Cult of Blood. So the first ever Midwestern screening, which was fucking rad to be known as that. Robbie wants to come back, so that's fucking cool. I spoke to him. He's actually in, I want to say, Switzerland. He's like shooting a movie in several locations, something like Switzerland and LA and I don't know, some other places. But overseas, he's filming part of it. So he wants to come back and do something. We have, and little side note, Ivy is the planner. She's the detail person. Like, gotcha. I'm the one that tells dick and fart jokes and shows up. So she is a little bit more organized, but we do have an event which, might be expired past this, but December 7th, we're doing like a virtual mixtape thing. So I'm going to be Krampus. And cool. I'm going to be involved in this, and we're going to have 3 bands, and there's going to be some scenes going on in between with some storylines, some crowd interactions, all that sort of stuff. So we definitely want to keep the events going. I'm trying to partner up with the city I'm in to bring a festival to downtown. So think local vendors, food, entertainment. So I don't know if I'll be able to pull that off this year. I'm currently speaking to a friend of a friend who's the head of the committee to approve things downtown. So I'll be meeting and having lunch with her and going over ideas and seeing what's possible. but yeah, like one thing I really want to start, and I can pitch this to your listeners as well too. So I
Sure.
really want to start a like movie club. And what I mean by that, and I've kind of, expressed in the most recent episode about it, but like I want to have a group of like, let's say 30 people that we all meet. I'll plan events. I thought I've got venues to where I can screen movies. I'll reach out to director friends. I'll pull from my collection, but I want to do different things. So like I thought of, the month of like, let's just say February, we have 4 screenings of movies each week and we do kill scene bingo. So
Okay.
there's like a certain kill scene and then that's on your bingo card. And then I'll have like a cool prize at the end.
Nice.
I would love to partner with a drive-in theater and show like a theme and have local vendors show up, food trucks,
a
things like
driving
that.
thing would be
Yes.
awesome. You
Yep.
gotta work on. That's a great idea.
Yeah, and there's certain ways as far as legalities and shit that I'll have to do things, and maybe I do it subscription based. But like we get together and watch these movies. I'll try to get directors or actors that are in some of these movies if I ever can, and then have them do Q&A. I'll nerd out and answer Q&A if I can't get anybody available. Like I'll research the shit out of movies and kind of do that sort of stuff. But ideally what I would love to do, and this is, so it might have a monthly subscription. I'm thinking if I do that, because then I don't have to worry about copyrights. I can show a movie and it's no big deal because nobody's paying. This is a movie club, very exclusive. Right. And what I want to do is I have, like you said, a cut, like a battle vest.
Yeah.
And it's full of patches and all this sort of shit. And me and my really good friend Mikey love making them. And so what I want to do is have like a point where it's like if you're a member for like, let's say a year, you get your jacket.
Yeah.
I want to have a jacket custom made for every single member of this horror club that I personally make, me and Mikey personally make, for me having you fill out a questionnaire and shit, and I'll pick stuff. Yeah, it's something I love doing. Mikey's makes his own clothes a lot of times, so he's got style. And so, yeah, I would fucking love to do that and have like a little jacket ceremony and shit.
Yeah.
That's fucking rad.
You know what you guys could do? I mean, the jacket idea is awesome, but for the purposes of cost, to lower your cost down to basically nothing, you guys could come up with a movie club patch and give people the patch.
Yeah.
And then they could sew it on, I just feel the jacket is cool, but for cost purposes, patches would cost you next to nothing.
Yeah. Well, and
patch of them.
And my thought was, like, the jackets do become expensive, but I kind of like that, like, that would be like a symbol, like you always see on Sons of Anarchy and all that shit, like, oh, we're going to present that. Not necessarily like that, but, like,
right, I get it. Yeah.
If I'm charging like $10 a month, say, and like you come to the events, well, obviously I would have to do that because I have to pay venue. They have to pay their staff, supply gas, or I will pay out a celebrity or whatever that would come. But then any of that money, like I'm not going to be making anything, I would put into a separate savings for these vests. You know, like each member I'll take out like $2 each month or whatever it may be, $1 1 month, whatever. I put it in there and then I pull from that to create these vests. I'm not making anything, but it's still really fucking cool way that I can give back.
Sure.
Yeah, so I that's kind of just what I have. But anyway, I need people that are motivated. I need people that are not just gonna fucking like, sit on their ass and would love to make this a part of their life too. And, like, I don't have to be the head of it. Ideally, I would love to have like a committee of like 4 or 5 people, and we all pull together and we like decide what we do. We create events and different things like that. I mean, that would be like a fucking dream come true. I already have a name for it, but I've tried this before, and it's actually how the podcast started. I wanted to create a social club first. It's called, right now it's called Indiana Guts and Gore Social Club.
Okay, that's cool, man.
But I can just call it Guts and Gore Social Club. So we were actually trying to start that, and then Ivy was like, dude, why don't you because we were gonna have our first meetup, and like everyone backed out. Everyone backed out. And it was just gonna be fucking me, Ivy, and Luke, basically. Yeah. And so she's like, why don't we start a podcast as a way to like build up people and then launch this. So
Right.
I'm just kind of deciding to try and fucking launch this. So anyone's interested, reach out to, Adam, reach out to me.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I'll help promote it as much as possible, and I'd love to help out in any way I can, man.
Yeah, and it's like I don't care how things are. Like, let's say, we all want to go see Morbid Angel in Chicago.
Right.
Let's fucking do it. Like, it doesn't always have to be just horror or whatever. I'd totally be down for anything.
Well, even like the Fort Wayne area, you've got Pierre's, which is always hosting, pretty great shows. And then you've got like the Coliseum in Indy.
Mm-hmm.
And there's lots of good metal spots out your way, which is not all that far from me. I've said on the show before, even though I can get to Chicago in about an hour, I would much rather take the extra hour and a half, and I'll drive to Fort Wayne, or I'll drive to Indy or something for a show.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. Yeah, there's actually so I know it's about underground bands, but like this one is interesting. So in Fort Wayne in April at Pierre's, fucking Coal Chamber is playing.
It's it's a whole crazy lineup. It's Coal Chamber, Fear Factory, Wednesday 13, and Twisted.
Yeah.
Which is a crazy lineup.
Yeah.
And I legitimately only give a shit about seeing Wednesday 13 because it's a full Murder Doll set.
Yeah.
And that's all I care about.
Yeah.
I've seen all of those other bands multiple times. And when I saw the lineup, because a friend of mine brought it, because that was already supposed to happen. And then Dez became ill.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got pushed. And my friend was like, we have to go. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I only give a shit about seeing what I'm calling the Murder Dolls.
Yeah.
Because that's as close as I'm going to get.
Yeah, I'd actually never seen Coal Chamber. I like, and I've never actually seen Fear Factory either, which I loved Fear Factory growing up. Fucking loved.
Quick 2-second story about Fear Factory, and then I promised people we're getting back into music.
I know, yeah.
It was the 2018 gathering of the Juggalos. Mm-hmm. Fear Factory was playing on stage. If anybody knows anything about the gathering, having shit thrown at you on stage is actually a positive thing.
Yeah, it's normal.
it's nobody's trying to hurt you. It's just fun. And somebody had, like, think of like a platter, not a plate, but a platter of nachos in this like aluminum tin. Because it's a gathering, so people are camping and making large amounts of food. And during Fear Factory set, somebody chucked it on stage, this huge platter of nachos, and Burton reaches out and grabs a handful and crams it in his mouth while he's singing. And the whole crowd just erupted. Everybody went nuts. And that was the last time that I saw Fear Factory. That was really cool. And what was really cool for them is prior to that moment, talking to people in the crowd, a lot of people knew the band but weren't fully aware of them.
Yeah.
So they weren't necessarily playing to a big crowd that knew them. And when Burton grabbed that big chunk of nachos, he won over 98% of the crowd. Because people are like, he's into it. He's having fun with it.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. It was actually that was the last time I saw Static X.
All right, yeah.
Gathering always brings the thunder. It's not just hip hop. I mean, Cannibal Corpse display, there's fucking Soulfly. They bring the metal because they know fucking a lot of, probably 85% of juggalos are also metalheads.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So, kind of worked out. All right. Where are we headed? We're headed back. Where are we headed? Yeah, we're headed back. We're headed back to Houston. This is Divinnite Hive. Song is called, this is a title, Unexpected Arterial Eruptions.
All right.
It's a hell of a title. It's slam time, baby. Caveman riffs and a fucking siren in the background. So sick. Are you a video game guy?
I am. Yes, I am.
Did I hear the sound that Mario makes when he collects a coin? The ping, 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 ping.
I didn't write that down.
Is that what that was?
I think so.
And it's really subtle, but in the background, hey, somebody drop a comment. Listen to that song again. Is that the sound that it makes when Mario collects the coin? The ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding. Yeah. For
That's
me,
awesome.
I love the tempo change at the beginning. Yeah, I just kind of think that really tight band with good flow. I really like their flow that they had. So, but yeah, the tempo change at the beginning, I was definitely a fan of.
Yeah, that was really cool. I've had these guys in a folder for like a while.
Yeah.
And because of how I have everything organized music wise, when I was looking back and I'm like, okay, like Texas. And I was thinking, because I wanted to play these guys at some point because I really enjoyed that song. And then the idea came up like, because the plan is the overall plan is that the listeners don't go anywhere. And so the show doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And eventually hit everywhere.
Yeah.
I want to hit every state. I want to hit every country. I want to just go all over the place. So then once I grabbed them and I grabbed another one, it might have been Stoner Witch, might have been shortly after. And then the idea was like, fuck it. Let's just start compiling the Texas list because that'll happen sooner than later.
Yeah.
I think Divinnite Hive, I think this was the first band that I was like, all right, let's get ready to do Texas. And then, so with you, that was just a pleasant surprise. That just worked out.
Just divine intervention.
Yes. Yeah, that worked out really well. That was fucking sick. So going back to what you were saying about like the movie club and stuff and people of the show, just real quick, I've said it, I don't know, almost every single episode that's come out. But if you haven't, pause the show real quick, open up another YouTube tab, go over to Blood in the Cornfields, slap a like, slap a subscribe on there.
Yes.
So you can keep in track with what's going on with them. And when we get more information about this movie club, then you'll know about it.
Yes, definitely subscribe because we're actually going to do a giveaway when we get to 100.
Yeah.
I believe we're at 98 on YouTube, and it's me who's kind of heading it up. So like Luke has our numbers for the other platforms, but the only one I can see is YouTube. So I just like, fuck it. Once we get to 100 subscribers on YouTube, I'm doing a giveaway. So I already have a lot of shit picked out. Nice. And I'll reveal kind of what's going on. But yes, for those of you out there that like us, subscribe, get us to 100. We only need 2 more. We should be at 98.
Get that 100.
That's it. Yeah. And then, hey, you might get some free shit from me. So
yeah, hit the subscribe button, get up to that 100. Maybe you'll win something. I gave stuff away. I mean, it was just stickers, but I gave it away.
Yeah. This is going to be a whole thing. I've got a bunch of shit actually just over there that I've kind of put together. It's ready to go. I am going to make sure that if it is, so I've kind of got to do it 2 different directions. So if we are very local and we support local stuff. So if the person is local, then I'm going to give them a gift card from this awesome record store that we go to and love. Nice. We support. Karma Records. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. If they're further away, then I'm going to have to do something else. Because, obviously I'm not going to give them a fucking gift card to Karma if they can't go. So
does Karma do online shopping?
That could be. That's actually, I didn't think of that. So
maybe they could call Karma and say, hey, do you have the new Scour record? And then they go, yes. And you go, well, I have a gift card.
That's but that actually, so because I talk to them all the time, so I'll message them and see, because that's a good question. I was just thinking, right off the top of my head that like, oh, they're just a local record store, but yeah, if they do online, then fuck it, you'll get a gift card for it anyway. Yeah, because you could even call in, read them off the number, boom, they process the card, Karma still gets some money, you still get a cool record. Yep, absolutely. Hell yeah.
All right, let's jump into our last track of Black Tornado Podcast Flies Over to Texas. Band is called The Temple Dark. They are also, believe it or not, from San Antonio. The song is called Black in My Lungs.
The gate and break the key to sense of misery, barring all the light and hope from ever entering. Blacken the room and take it, black velvet snake pit, glowing out reality with sweet chemical relief. I don't miss you, I don't want you. Yes, I'm better off alone. I don't need you, I don't crave you. Yes, I'm better off at home. I don't miss you, I don't want you. Yes, I'm better off alone. Blocking the walls, blocking my lungs, blocking my heart in isolated rest. I finally feel apart, drowned in booze, drowned in smoke, drowned in pills in isolated rest. I finally feel apart. Close the castle door, and bolted from within. Life has nothing more, a riddle we can't win. Close the castle door and blacken everything. Life is DOA, your majesty for me. Blocking the walls, blocking my lungs, like in my heart. I finally feel apart, drowned in booze, drowned in smoke, drowned in pills. I'm finally now apart.
So this is really unique. These are vocals that we don't normally hear on the show. Very, very gothic, very spooky. Really beautiful guitar. Really enjoyed that.
Yeah. So the one thing I was gonna say is like, and I read and you know, obviously I don't know these guys, but from what I read, it's a solo project.
Oh, solo. Okay.
Solo project. Yeah. You know, that's what I read. To me, it gave very much like, you know, to describe to the listeners, if they haven't listened to it yet, very much kind of a typo negative, like Danzig.
I was just going to say the same thing, typo.
Yeah, type style, because his verbiage on the back part of his words reminded me of Danzig, the way that he has the twang or kind of the Danzig effect. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, that's what it immediately drew me to. And I was like, okay, all right. I already kind of have a feel for like what this is about. Yeah.
When I listened to the song Black in My Lungs, that was my first thought when the song ended. I'm like, this dude, he's a typo fan. He's a Peter Steele fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Has to be.
Had to be.
So that was really cool. And again, you know, I know I use this word ad nauseum, but bringing something unique to the show, something different. I think that this was a pretty good representation of the overall different styles of the genre of metal. You know, we kind of jumped around a little bit from like stoner doomy kind of grooves to really gothic stuff to slam stuff to just straight up metal.
Yeah. And the whole goth aspect of it too, like, hey, dude, I got a lot of Mexican friends that are goth, like really gothic. San Antonio, you know, is full of a lot of gothic kids. So, I mean, I'm not surprised. You know, I was not surprised when I came across this song. It was like, all right, you know, like, yeah, it's different, but still, like, that very much is a feel of San Antonio for sure.
So there's a big scene in San Antonio for like the gothic style music.
Yeah, I would say gothic, but then also like there's black and like death metal, you know, pretty big influences, but like, you know, gothic is not, you know, like like a forgotten genre in San Antonio for sure.
That's cool. It's good to know.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, we knocked out 5 tracks, had a good time, covered everything from stories about Phil Anselmo to somehow talking about me playing, you know, Hey Mickey on the drums. So this was
yes, that is a successful episode.
Yes, this is good. We ran all over the place. I just wanted to say thanks very much, Mark, for coming on the show. This is the first time that I had one half of Blood in the Cornfields. And before you go questioning it, yes, coming sooner than you think, the other half, Blood in the Cornfields, Ivy will join me on a future episode.
Yes.
So, Mark, I just wanted to say thank you very much, brother. Thanks for coming on. This was fun as always.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, brother. And as always, I'm your host, Adam. Hope you enjoyed this episode of the Black Tornado Podcast, your home for underground metal. As always, be good to each other. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Peace.